Hi guys, welcome back aboard good old Athena. Ava left for Budapest this morning and I am in a mad frenzy to get the boat ready for the Atlantic crossing. The crew is supposed to arrive in a few days and we want to be ready to leave by the end of this week. So yeah, let's not dilly-dally. My name is Mess, this is my wife Ava. I've spent the last 5 years on a somewhat extensive refit of our 1987 Warrior 38 named Athena. That was a DIY fun-packed adventure complete with a very extensive osmosis treatment, building a new rudder using vacuum infusion, rebuilding the entire deck, gutting and subsequently rebuilding most of the interior, painting the topsides, and a ton of other projects. The summer of 2021 we started cruising full time. Now we're finally ready to begin our adventure. I've put every single task I need to complete to get the boat ready for the Atlantic crossing up here on our board. The addition since last week are all these pink tasks, but a lot of those tasks, most of those tasks, are really small and quick tasks. It's just something I want to make sure that I remember to do. For instance, we have a task here called curtains. Let's start with that one. With 3 guys aboard the boat, we're going to have one person sleeping over here on the settee. We're going to have a second person sleeping in here in the aft cabin. Please note that there is no door here. And I will most likely end up sleeping here on the floor in the forward cabin. I figured it would be nice for everybody if there's the option of getting a little bit of privacy. And for the settee and the aft cabin, I think the best I can do is just to make some little curtains so you can section off your little area if you want to. I grabbed a quick couple of measurements and cut out the fabric. The Sailrite, especially with the walking foot, is a little bit overkill for stuff like this, but it will still work if you keep tension on the fabric. In the aft cabin, I put up a couple of folding pad eyes to secure the curtain to. I ran a thin bit of line through the curtain and presto, that was it. All that was left to do now was to repeat the process for the settee with one modification. Over by the settee, we would like to avoid installing pad eyes, so I'm going to try these removable suction doohickeys from IKEA. The curtains are not exactly a thing of beauty. This is very much a case of function over form. Now, we're very rarely going to be more than 2 people aboard the boat, and when we take on crew, I think this will work okay. For the next boat, which undoubtedly is going to be much bigger than Athena, hopefully we can do better than just curtains, but yeah. For now, this will have to do. Let's go ahead and close the curtain task, and then I better get started on this one. Schedule videos. We're currently 3 weeks ahead on videos. I've done that so that we could keep posting a video every Sunday at 8 p.m. CET, even during the Atlantic crossing, which will most likely take around 3 weeks. By the time this video is published, we should be well into the passage. Check out the link for our Patreon page in the description if you want live updates and satellite tracking. The videos are now scheduled to go live on YouTube and Patreon. The reason why I've done that is because I expect our Starlink internet connection to cut out about 200 miles from the Canaries, and then we won't get it back until we're about 800 miles from Barbados. So that'll leave us without internet for about 2 weeks, but at least now I don't have to worry about the videos. Next up, let's get some copper coat on the wind vane rudder. This is the rudder for our wind vane. I would really like to be able to use the wind vane on the Atlantic crossing, but right now there's no anti-fouling on this. Enter stage left copper coat, which is a multi-season anti-fouling. I am well familiar with this stuff. Back in the early days of Athena's refit, I applied copper coat to the bottom of the hull. The big upside to copper coat is that it'll last between 10 to 20 years. That means you won't have to haul out every year or every other year to apply anti-fouling. All that you need to do is to dive on the hull a few times a year and scrub it. Athena's been in the water for about 2.5 years now, and so far copper coat has worked out really well for us. The only downsides to copper coat is the slightly higher upfront cost, and also it is relatively labor intensive to apply. I think the materials we used to copper coat Athena's bottom was somewhere right around $1,700 US, and then it did take a full day's worth of work with a team of 4 guys to apply this stuff. So yeah, a little bit expensive up front and a little bit labor intensive. We won't have the wind vane rudder mounted on the wind vane all the time. That means we have to store this somewhere on the boat when it's not mounted on the wind vane. And for that, I think Coppercoat is a really good choice because it doesn't rub off and it doesn't leave colored smudges on other stuff. So yeah, let's get some Coppercoat on the rudder. The Coppercoat adventure started 3 days ago. I gave the rudder a light sanding with 120 grit and wiped off the dust with some alcohol. I then suspended the rudder inside of the boat and put down a bit of plastic. Happy wife, happy life. Then over the course of a day I applied 4 coats of epoxy primer to the rudder. Fast forward to today. The primer on the rudder has been left to cure for 2 days. Longer would be better, but I'm out of time. This time I sanded the rudder using 320 grit to remove any structure in the primer. As with any coating, prep is super important, so I wiped the glorious sanding dust off the rudder with alcohol and paper towels. In the hopes of not getting hairs stuck in the Coppercoat, I rolled the rollers over a bit of masking tape and then proceeded to mix up the first batch of Coppercoat. The first coat of Coppercoat always looks horrible, but don't worry, that's perfectly normal, and already by the second coat the color is starting to look a lot more uniform. And here is the third coat. It's the next morning. I managed to get 5 coats of Coppercoat on the rudder yesterday, and it looks really good. Now it's been curing overnight. The surface is still ever so slightly tacky, but I think the rudder is ready for me to move it outside so I can continue on other stuff here inside of the boat. The rudder actually looks really nice chilling out there next to the wind vane, but right as I was in the midst of the copper coating experience yesterday, Athena's new air conditioning showed up. This is Dometic's DTG16, 16,000 BTU unit, and this is sponsored by Dometic, but I'm really excited to install this. Unfortunately, that will have to wait until we get to the Caribbean. With the air conditioning received and the rudder copper coated, that is 2 tasks we can go ahead and close. I also picked up some sound insulation yesterday for the engine compartment, just to try and keep the boat a little bit more quiet in case we have to motor a lot. But there are 2 tasks here that are engine room related. There's the sound insulation, and there are some wires in there that I'd like to secure. The engine compartment is in no way in bad shape. There are just a few cables and some hoses I'd like to secure a little bit better. A couple of zip ties and some cable retention doohickeys, and presto, the engine room looks perfect. For the sound insulation, my favorite local chandlery had some of this foam and tar stuff. It's easy to cut, yet feels super heavy, so I'm sure it'll do a great job. After a quick test fit, I adhered the insulation in place and added a couple of screws with big washers to make absolutely sure it stays put. I also added a seal around the engine compartment. Hopefully the insulation and the seal will make the boat a little bit more quiet when motoring. And just like that, we can close another couple of tasks. Now there is another task that I can go ahead and close, and that is this one. That's book a rental car. I needed to do that because my brother-in-law is arriving later today. He's going to be joining across the Atlantic, and I figured it'd be nice for us to have a rental car. There are only a couple of more tasks on my to-do list for today. That is to figure out the 2 main sheet situation. We'll get back to this in a second. I need to drill some holes in the old whisker pole, and I want to secure some stuff in the technical compartment. We have what's known as German sheeting, where the main sheet is on the middle of the boom rather than at the end. And there are some upsides to that, but there are also a couple of downsides. Like for instance, whenever we're going close haul, the boom wants to just kick out because there's nothing holding it closer to the center line of the boat. And also when we're using the main as a stabilizing sail, the boom can just go from side to side. I've seen this done on other boats, and I think the best fix for us is just to add 2 more main sheets, or basically just one, but one from the aft end of the boom and then to a cleat on each side of the deck. It'll look a little something like this, but it'll be 2 separate lines so we can really lock down the boom. This is not something I plan for us to have up permanently. It's something that we can quickly slap in place in case we need it, either for stabilizing or for going closed hauled. So yeah, let me grab some measurements so I can get this stuff ordered. You might be thinking, but isn't it just easier to add a couple lines where the main sheet is attached currently and leading those after the cockpit, and then you can tighten those to lock in the boom? Yes, but by adding the sheet to the end of the boom, we also get rid of another issue, and that is the flexing of our boom. It tends to flex a lot when we're sailing, and it makes trimming the sail kind of annoying. So yeah, we'll give this 2 main sheet solution a try. Everything is pretty much already nice and secure in the technical compartment, but it would be nice to be able to store these 3 oars up under the deck. Why do we have 3 oars? That is the wrong question. The correct question would be, why do Zodiac provide shitty oars with their dinghies and then only allow you to buy new ones as a pair? Anywho, a couple of pad eyes should do the trick. I picked up some bungee cord and some of these clippy thingies for the ends. Ta-da! There is the technical compartment ready to go. A few weeks back we got a brand new telescoping whisker pole. It is almost the same length as our old pole, but for our dual pulled out headsail setup, I think it'd be nice if they're the exact same length. A couple of new holes in the old pole seems like the easiest way to achieve that. After a little bit of filing, there were no more sharp edges. I think this is going to work out really well. As my last deed of the day, I swung by the chandlery and picked up blocks and line for the new main sheet. Unfortunately, my D-splicer broke after the first I-splice, and the cover was way too tight to use a fid. The next morning, it turned out the chandlery had a set of D-splicer's soft fids, which are awesome for splicing lines with tight covers. After finishing the I-splices with the help of a winch, I ran the new main sheet through the blocks and presto! Here is the main sheet. To save a little bit of money, I used just a plain line on one side to only have blocks on the other side. That means we'll have to cleat this off, and then we can tighten down the main sheet with the side with the blocks on there. That means there are 3 tasks that we can go ahead and close. We are almost done. Now I picked up Julian at the airport last night, and we are gonna go do an IKEA run today. That means we can do this task for IKEA run. We can do the handle for the Victron lockers. We can also refuel on diesel. Speaking of Julian.
Hi guys, Julian Acosta here, Mad's brother-in-law. I'm actually the person near and dear to Ava's heart in the Court Tree episode, but you'll find out more about that later. Until then, see you.
No, we're bringing that.
No, I mean back inside.
Oh, yeah. That'd be good. The next couple of days are a little bit of a blur. We got the diesel tanks topped off using the jerry cans because there's no diesel available in this marina, and we then topped off the jerry cans at a gas station. We also did what will hopefully be the last grocery run to get everything that 3 guys will need for 3 to 4 weeks. I've been holding off on labeling our distribution panel to get some custom Blue Sea labels made, but with 2 new guys aboard the boat, I figured I'd better make some temporary Dymo labels. Last but not least, there was the matter of the lee cloth for the aft cabin. I made this out of the last tiny bit of scrap of canvas we had aboard. It's reinforced with some nylon webbing where it's screwed into the bunk and then secured using nice shiny stainless steel hardware. It turned out pretty nice. Fingers crossed it'll work well too. We are getting dangerously close to being able to close all of the tasks up here on the board. In fact, the only task that's left is this one, door to the forward cabin. The door is already here and it kind of works. It just doesn't want to close all the way. If I force the door shut, you can see why. Up here there's a gap. Over here there is no gap. When I built the door, it was a completely uniform reveal all the way around the door. I can tell you exactly why that is. After we tensioned the standing rigging on the boat, the hull just ever so slightly changed shape a little bit. That's not completely uncommon and there's nothing wrong with it. It just means I need to make some slight adjustments to the door. After having removed the door and carefully shaved off a little bit of the bottom, we now have a door that closes. Of course, there's no door handle here yet, so it won't really stay closed, but at least it can close. And with the door fixed, that was the last task that was left on the board. It's been a busy time here in the Canary Islands getting the boat ready for the Atlantic crossing, but before Eva flew to Budapest we did take one day off to see some of the island. We did that with one of those touristy bus tours that attempt to cram the whole island into one day. The big ticket item for both of us was to get a closer look at Teide, which is Spain's highest peak at around, I think it's 3,500 meters. And also we wanted to see the wide range of nature the island has to offer. And of course Eva never passes up the opportunity to bask in the glory of old wooden doors. The first stop on the tour was the oldest dragon tree in the Canary Islands. According to the guide, the best estimate puts this tree at around 800 years old. We also got to see the island's first port, or what's left of it, as it was destroyed by a volcanic eruption in 1909. From there we drove up death-defyingly steep winding mountain roads, sampled a barraquito, I think it was. It's a traditional coffee from the Canary Islands with condensed milk, cinnamon, lemon and a little bit of alcohol. We purchased some prickly pears before finally getting to the central part of the island where Teide is located. The landscape here is stunningly beautiful, dry and windswept. A 10 out of 10 view in my book. The third and final crew member is flying in tonight, so theoretically we could be ready to go sometime tomorrow. But there is, as always, a little bit of weather. We're up here in the Canary Islands, Cape Verde is down here. We're going to head towards those and then hang a right across the Atlantic. Now, the weather right now looks pretty decent, but if we go to Thursday, I think it is, it may not look like much, but yeah, this guy right here, that is 27 sustained, gusting to 34, so that's a little bit more than we would like. If we want to avoid that, we will have to wait until Saturday, Sunday or Monday. I'm not entirely sure what we'll do. We'll check the weather forecast tomorrow and make up our minds. But I think no matter if we go the day after tomorrow or if we wait a week here, the next video you guys will see will probably be from us starting to sail. So fingers crossed. And on that hopeful note, I'll end this week's video here. As always, feel free to leave a comment down below, and don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a like. See you!